Hey, everybody. On this episode of Crying in My Car, a podcast for teachers, we discuss deteriorating schools. Are they safe for you as a teacher or safe for the kids? What's being done to help rebuild these schools? Also, we're going to discuss a etiquette class that is being taught, and maybe it's a good thing, maybe it's not. We'll see. And lastly, local history is just as important as national history. Hopefully, more teachers will understand that, and we'll have more details on this episode of Crying in My Car, a podcast for teachers. Hey, everybody. This is Crying in My Car, a podcast for teachers. My name is Devin Siebold. Got my good buddy, Mr. James Yon, in the house. And we're here to hopefully make you laugh, address some serious topics, but also in a lighthearted way for teachers, and hopefully give you a little bit of relief going into the school year. Now, this episode should be airing about the time that we're coming back from winter break.
Oh.
And that's always a tough time. You know, you're going to need that laughter to get you through it, because I remember that feeling of like January 3rd, you know, and it's like tomorrow we go back. I've just gotten used to being home, and then you know what it's like, Dad?
What? It's like you break up with someone and you think, I'm never going to see them again, and then you see them again, you're like, what are you doing here?
Yeah, I thought I had you out of my life.
Yeah.
Now here's the thing, man. The winter break to me was always the weirdest thing, because it all depended on when Christmas fell.
Okay.
Now, sometimes Christmas would fall on like a Saturday or a Friday.
Yes.
And then you'd have the whole week off leading up to it, you know? Sometimes Christmas falls. Now, this year, what day is Christmas fall on?
Is it Sunday or Monday?
I gotta look. It's Christmas falls this year on a Monday. The worst one. That's the worst one.
Why Monday?
The worst, because teachers teach then until the Friday before.
Oh.
Because they give you 2 whole weeks off, but they usually don't divide it. They usually say you're off the week of Christmas and the week of New Year's Day.
That makes sense. Okay.
So when it's on a Monday, teachers will teach up until Friday, the 22nd. And the worst thing about that is that usually in my school district, we got paid the last working day of the month, which was, when this time, I'm just going to give example, would be the 22nd. That's your payday. You have 2 days to get the presents on the busiest shopping weekend of the year.
I'm out.
The weekend leading up to it, the 23rd, 24th, the malls were madness. And it was so hard to get the stuff. And you're under so much pressure to make Christmas happen in such a short amount of time.
That's crazy.
Now, when Christmas would fall on a Thursday or Friday, then you get the Saturday, the Sunday, the Monday, the Tuesday, the Wednesday. You get 5 days to prep.
Yeah.
You can start shopping on that 17th, 18th, you know, and it feels a whole lot easier. This is the worst.
I know you're telling the truth. Here's why. Last year, my mother-in-law went to the mall 3 days before Christmas. Do you know how long it took her to get out of the parking lot?
Oh, I guarantee a nightmare.
3 hours.
Yo.
She shopped, could not leave because traffic was backed up from the Florida Mall parking lot. 3 hours to get out of the parking lot.
Wow.
You couldn't pay me enough money to go shopping physically to a store a couple of days before Christmas.
Hopefully
I'm out.
she added gas card to her Christmas list at that point. Like, you know what? Help.
Kids this year, we're Jehovah's Witness.
Right.
We're not celebrating Christmas. There you go.
Dude, that's the thing, though. And it's such a delicate thing, but I remember looking ahead and looking at those 2 weeks off and seeing the timing of it.
Yes.
And it was always so crucial to have a little bit more cushion before Christmas.
Now,
and then you got New Year's, and then right after that. And it's always tricky too, because sometimes New Year's will fall, and I think that's going to push New Year's to what, a Thursday then? So let me look at it. What would it push New Year's to? So New Year's is going to fall on New Year's Eve is Sunday, and a Monday is New Year's Day.
Yes.
So then teachers would probably go back on the 2nd or 3rd. Yeah, I'm out.
Yeah, I'm out. Yeah, that doesn't give you time to recoup at all.
You need time.
You
know?
do,
I don't know about all that. It's always weird how it would push it, and sometimes you're starting. This is the thing too. Like you would have New Year's sometimes on like a Wednesday, and they'd be like, "Yeah, you got to go back on Thursday and Friday."
Why?
That's a wash. We're not doing that.
You're not doing that. Yeah.
Because
what?
the kids would come back and they go, "We only got 2 days till the weekend. We're done learning."
They're still checked out. They're like,
Yeah.
I'm not doing this.
Right. I was, there were some weeks when you're a teacher and it's so funny the excuses sometimes you make in your head. You go, like you'd have Monday off for like Martin Luther King Jr. Day.
Yeah.
And then Tuesday you'd be like, well, we have Monday off. There's no sense in starting anything new when we only got 4 days this week.
Only 4 days.
Might as well throw in a movie. This week's over.
Yeah. Right. Am I right?
Yeah.
Now, let me ask you a question before winter break. Who is more excited, teachers or students?
Both, but teachers.
Teachers,
mean,
I was
honestly,
going to say, I can imagine you guys like, man, we're going to get 2 weeks. It's
get
going to be
that
amazing.
break.
A break. And you're not working. It's not summer. You're not going to work another job more than likely. You're just going to actually break.
Yeah.
Oh, I can imagine.
Yep. Now,
Sweet
there were
release.
teachers that also had to work during the, holidays. Sometimes it got busy. I waited tables,
Oh, yeah. So you were working.
And I was working, and then I know that some teachers worked retail, and that's a nightmare.
If you've never worked retail, it's almost, and I say almost as bad as working food.
Yeah.
Two places that really don't close very often.
No.
But retail, man, people are not the kindest shopping. Mm-hmm. They don't have any patience. Like when you're a waiter or you work in a restaurant, you're kind of making people happy. You're feeding them. You hope. But in retail, it is, I don't care.
Can I tell you, James? I worked as the supervisor of the electronics section in Target when I was in college.
Woo!
And I remember my first Black Friday.
Oh, that's big time, baby.
These were the real deal Black Fridays back in the day.
You had to actually go to the store.
You had to go there, get in line.
Yes.
And this was before they even did the lotteries. This was every man for themselves.
Free for all. Oh, my God.
They started doing the lotteries once people got cell phones with the cameras on
Yes.
it and then recorded everybody beating each other. And
Yes.
it gave a bad look to the place. But before, we just let you beat each other.
Yeah. If you guys have no idea what it was like doing Black Friday when you had to actually go to the store, picture the Hunger Games.
Yes.
That's what it is.
So if you were in a Target, if you can picture a Target, you would go in, and to the left, all the way at the very end, was electronics.
Yes.
And I remember we have our walkies, and they go, doors open in 10. 9. And it was my first one, and I had marked my way up to supervisor pretty quick. And I remember like the guy I was working with, he had been through a few, and he had a look in his eyes, and he's like, hold the line.
Yes!
And
Yes!
literally, they would come around, the doors would open, and you would see people, and it was just, oh, they're coming this way. And running full speed, trampling, kids being thrown.
Devin,
it was.
I just imagine a movie with you on Black Friday. You're Leonidas, and it's
Oh
the
my
300,
gosh.
and you're like, get ready because tonight we died in hell.
Yep. I'm holding LCDs over my head, and we're forming formations.
That was a crazy time.
Oh,
man.
it was wild.
Yeah,
man.
it was.
And you, at the end of the day, you just literally felt like just zombified.
Done. You had nothing left.
Done.
Yeah.
But then, some teachers got to do both, rough.
But we were on the other side of that.
Mm-hmm.
We were the parents and the whole family. We would go out as a unit, a
Mm-hmm.
group for Black Friday. And I was like Maximus. I was like, when they're counting down, I'm like, on my signal, unleash hell. We'd rush it.
Yeah. And then I was the guy at the end of the Target, and I'd be like, there's the Yon family. They have 5. At the end of this, they will have none. I had to prepare. Now, James, I got to ask, you're a very generous person now. You've kind of talked about how you had a shift and started gift giving. Did
Yes.
you gift give when you were with kids in school?
Yes,
You did?
Even back then, yeah. But there was a demographic I like to give to back in the day when it was in high school. Mm-hmm. Girls.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. I would be like, oh, yeah, let me give
When
that
you
girl.
were a kid, yeah.
Yeah, when I was a kid, it was always girls, man.
Yeah.
Valentine's Day was my jam. Like, hey, did you guys have this, by the way? I just thought of it. in high school, you could send rosegrams.
Yeah, we had singing grams and singing grams.
Really, they would
rosegrams.
We had the rosegrams where you could actually send people roses to their classes, and they would walk in, give the person the rose, and say who it's from, and walk out. Oh yeah, I had a lot of those.
So we had singing grams, and I'll never forget that the chorus would come around and sing.
The whole chorus.
Yeah, and
oh wow,
I remember distinct singing grams one year where they knew a song, and it was "When I See Your Face."
Oh yeah,
there's not a thing. The Bruno Mars.
Yes.
And the first they come in, and I was like, "Oh my gosh,
look at this!"
And then they leave, and then 10 minutes later they come in again, and they got that song.
Oh, yeah.
And then 10 minutes later they got that song, and then classes would switch, and then they'd come in and they get that song. And
over.
And I'm at my desk going, "When I see your face." I'm so bad. I'm like, "There's not a rage that I don't feel." They'd come in, I get so mad. But
that's funny, man.
James, one of the things I want to talk about today on the podcast, and I want to bring it up because you said you got a little story about this too.
I do.
Our schools are deteriorating. Now, I did a state of teaching where I threw out some statistics, but I didn't really get personal on it. I want to talk about personally the things that I'd seen in my schools.
Got it.
My schools were failing. I was in portables. I don't know about you, but I was in portables where there was temporary portable.
That's how they sold everyone in Florida on portables. They told everyone
temporary.
They're only going to be temporary. We're going to be there maybe 3-4 months. That's it.
Yep.
Bro.
Yep.
They started growing. It became a neighborhood.
Yep.
It
did.
Manufactured homes. Yeah, man.
And I was teaching in a portable, and they said they were building a new building, and they did build a new building, an administrative building.
Yes.
And then they didn't build one for ours.
Yep.
And the portables are still there.
Still.
And, that was 15 years ago. And they just keep them there and just keep rotating them with new portables.
That's right.
And the schools themselves, though, when you go inside, were just abysmal sometimes.
Yes, they were.
I don't know if you've ever seen a school water fountain, but give your children water bottles to take. Please fill up the water bottles and with an immense amount of water and say, "Do not refill this."
Or if you guys don't, because Devin can tell you, the water at some of these older schools, the fountain, has a lot of green on the actual metal. If you guys would like a tip, a hack that I've learned as a parent, if you have a school like that and you'd like some cleaner water, then simply wait for it to rain and gather water from the puddle on the ground. And that will be cleaner than that actual water from that fountain.
I remember just so many distinct things. I had ceiling tiles missing in my room. I could see pipes that were exposed.
Yes.
I remember when the urinal broke in the men's bathroom, they tore it off the wall and it leaked sewage for about a year.
Oh, my God.
And they just didn't replace it. I remember the bathrooms for the students had all the doors ripped off, and they never replaced them. The hand dryer caught on fire one time, and it just stayed burnt for a while.
Okay.
We had cracks in the windows. We had terrible installation, terrible everything. I had a mouse living in my printer. I've told that story many times.
Just living there?
Yeah, I would
like
feed him.
Stuart Little?
I fed him every day. I'd give him I'd put little peanuts in there, and I'd close it up, and then I'd come back the next day, and there'd be no peanuts, and I'd be like, "You're welcome." And
okay, first off, I have a question really quick before you continue. The bathroom situation. All the doors were ripped off the hinges in the bathroom. Okay, first off, what kind of food were you feeding the children?
They blew it up.
They blew it up.
But yeah, it's just, I mean, it was embarrassing. The situations were crazy. And the tiles and everything dated. All the paint jobs were so bad. We had an overhang that you would use to walk, if it was raining or something. Let me tell you right now, you got more wet under the overhang because it had leaks in it. It had just holes. I remember looking out the window, and all the roofs didn't have proper drainage, so there was pooling of water on the roofs that I was like, that's going to cave in one day.
Yes,
with electrical cords going through the water, by the way. Shoes that had thrown up up there, you know,
Oh, my God.
and you just sit there and you're like, what are we doing? You know, like the deterioration of these schools, man, and the sickness behind it too.
It can.
Kids can get sick.
Yes, mold. We're
Mold.
talking.
I'm telling you, if they actually did a full assessment of mold in schools, they would shut down half the school system.
Gotcha.
I think, anyway.
I think you guys,
especially in Florida.
I think you guys created a new species.
Yeah.
Like somewhere.
Yeah, living in the printer.
There you go.
It's
Mutated mouse is in there. Yeah.
I don't know, man. I just I remember teaching and just seeing the deterioration. Now, you went to school. Did you have a teaching? Do you go to an old school or what?
Well, I got very lucky. Gateway High School, where I went to high school, was fairly new.
That is a new school.
Like 5 years.
Yeah.
It was like 5 years when I
remember.
first started going there. The old school was Osceola High School. It was around since the 40s, I believe. And it was breaking down. And they didn't get a new school, I want to say, until 10 years ago.
Yeah, that's the wild thing.
That's not long ago, man. But now Gateway has been torn down and they rebuilt it. So that wasn't a long life for that school. Honestly.
I was about to say.
That's not long.
Is that a moderately wealthy district?
Well,
That's a weird one to have.
Kissimmee
it.
has grown exponentially. There's,
people-wise.
Yeah, people-wise. So it might have been in the budget. We need a bigger school. Let's just scrap it. It's in the budget. And one of the commissioner's friends owns a construction company, so it might have been something like that. But it didn't live long.
I also think, and maybe I'm wrong, but teachers, I love to know what you see. I often think that we don't build new elementary schools. We often build new high schools.
Yes, I see
quite
that
a
more.
bit.
Yeah.
But elementary, every elementary school I go into, old.
Gotcha.
I mean, like old.
Like, wow.
Yeah. And I don't know, man. I just think we neglect them so much, and it's wild to see that things would break, and I tell them, and they just go, okay, well, we put it in, and you just never see it fixed.
No, you didn't. I remember this, though. Speaking of schools, it just popped in my head. We've all seen the deteriorating old school that needs to be, loved and probably demolished and rebuilt. But do you ever go to a friend's school or a cousin's and it's a modern marvel? And you're like, what?
Yeah.
You guys have this here? That is amazing.
Air conditioning?
This is crazy.
That cold on my neck?
Wait a minute. Your pizza's hot? What?
Right?
Yeah, there's sometimes you'll go to a school in a nice area and you're like, this is not a school. This is a 5-star hotel. This is absolutely amazing.
Yep. And I think I've said this before on the podcast, but it's true. My buddy went and taught in Vietnam. And his school, when he sent me pictures, I said, is that a university? He goes, no, it's just a regular public school. And he was teaching gym class on the 5th floor in their 5th floor gymnasium.
What?
Yeah, like they were.
That's not like
state of the art.
Wow.
But that's because other countries put money towards that stuff.
Towards education.
We don't put money towards it.
No.
We don't build these new buildings. We don't refresh them. And it's wild because the repairs that they did do were terrible.
Yeah.
I remember one time they came in, and I'm not making this up. I'm not making this story up. Our windows were old, and they were battered, and you could see cracks and stuff in them, and there was no way it was going to be an actual escape in terms of a fire. You get just destroyed by the glass because it was shatter on you.
Yes.
I remember that the fire marshal finally said something.
Ooh.
And when the fire marshal says something, that's the only time you see action.
Yeah.
Because they actually go, oh, okay, I guess we have to do something.
All right.
And so the fire marshal said something, and they went to replace the windows. They replaced the windows. I'll never forget seeing them install them because the guy putting it up, I go, hey, is it just me or is that window cracked already? And he goes, oh, yeah, they delivered this one cracked. And I said, Aaron, installing it? He goes, well, it's that or not have a window. And I go,
why don't?
But you're just replacing the cracked window with a cracked window. And he's like, yeah, we'll come back and replace it. They didn't.
Nah.
They didn't. I got a cracked window replacing the cracked window. I don't know. I just think that with these deteriorating schools, I mean, go watch the State of Teaching. I'm putting out those weekly videos and try and do a little series to bring some awareness to the problems that we're encountering in school and put actual statistics and facts, bring a humorous twist, and hopefully inspire some change. Who knows?
There you go, man.
All right. Let's go into the teachers in the news, shall we?
I love this.
An Iowa teacher's mistake tells parents what some already know. Man, did I see this and think it was one thing, but I was thrown a different direction. As they said, a teacher said the quiet part out loud. Will the school board respond, or will there be a deafening silence? And so I was sitting here looking at this, and it says, teacher's inappropriate post causes outrage. And there's a teacher, and apparently they posted a story, and she's wearing a T-shirt that bears the name of her school, and apparently has a screen-printed pattern on it that uses colors of the LGBTQ pride on her shirt.
Okay.
And it says, she posted online, every day is another opportunity to force kids in public school to be gay.
Oh.
And a picture of a, emoji of face with hearts.
Okay.
Now, when I read this, I said, that's hysterical. Because it's clearly sarcasm.
Yes.
She's leaning into the fears that you have. You're not getting the joke.
Yeah.
And I was proven right. They didn't get the joke.
Well, how could you say that?
It says the quiet part out loud, and will this be deafening silence? And literally, luckily, the superintendent stepped in and said, this is a poor attempt at humor and sarcasm. As we know, attempts at humor and sarcasm, especially online, can easily be misunderstood. Okay. I kind of like that response.
So do I.
Because obviously the superintendent goes, it's a joke.
Yeah, guys.
Relax. We're literally just going, see, it's not what you think.
Yeah.
Now, again, they're still demanding that the school board step up, and apparently this person had all their social media removed. They deleted everything, but I don't know. I just...
Again, I'm going to say this, man. I think I said it before on the podcast. There are certain buzzwords that people will hear, and it automatically elicits a response.
Yeah.
They don't even listen to what you said, but they hear the buzzwords.
Yeah.
I'm going to go off.
But I read this news article, and even lines like this outrage me. This is a line from the news article, by the way. Unfortunately, to every parent concerned with teachers pushing LGBTQ ideology, the smiling teacher in the photo is saying, I don't respect you. I don't respect your kid either. No, they didn't. They didn't say that. You're just making stuff up now.
Yes.
You're putting this, it's just... I get it. And so I sit here and I listen, and it says that kind of sarcasm isn't born from nothing. Even if a momentary lapse in judgment has this teacher's original post directed at someone, their parents know that.
Oh, my God.
I don't know. How did
yeah, exactly.
I don't have anything to say. I don't know what to say.
None.
It's clearly humor, sarcasm.
Yes.
Should it have been posted? Probably not. In
hindsight, no.
Yeah, in hindsight, no. But it's making fun of the situation that we constantly are under this, oh my gosh, you're trying to turn my kids gay. It's like, no, we're not.
No.
We're not. And then I don't know. I don't know what it's...
Here's the thing.
I'm at a loss for words when I think it's just so hard for me to explain comedy to people.
Bruh, here's the thing I love about this, and I want to say this as a father of a kid from an alternative lifestyle. There's no incentive or reward for us to turn your kid gay. It's not like selling Amway. Like there's no prize. There's no reward.
No.
So why do you think that's our agenda? Like
it's not a timeshare sale.
We get nothing for it. You hear Jim? Jim got 3 last week. He wins the trip to Aruba.
Anyways,
okay.
Sorry. But again, you know what's so funny is somebody could take that joke you just made and put it online and go, look at them mocking us. Yes. And it's like, no. We're just telling you.
I'm pointing out the absurdity.
Yeah, the absurdity.
Yeah.
All right, this next one. An Oregon teacher was in the middle. Oregon, not Oregon, by the way. An Oregon teacher was in the middle of a lesson when the Secret Santa elves knocked on her door with a gift. This is pretty cool. So apparently there is over the past 38 years, this Oregon teacher has done funerals, weddings, wedding receptions, recitals, community events at no cost, and is happy, willing to help help. Apparently,
Wow.
yeah, I know. And apparently, she's been self-reliant for many years and is earning a living by teaching piano and organ lessons. Now, during the pandemic, she learned how to use technology online to help students learn through the internet and has just been really passionate about this. Apparently, there are secret Santa elves that they have in this Idaho area that come by and give you gifts.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Now, apparently, and this is wild, apparently they have over $1 million to give to people in eastern Idaho.
So, potato business is good.
Apparently,
Man.
apparently, I don't know. It doesn't say what they gave her. It says they gave a helping hand, but apparently there's donations. They have over $1 million to give. What a cool program! But
Come on.
Also, this is a very selfless teacher. 38 years she's devoted herself to the profession.
He doesn't charge.
I want to reiterate that I view all people that instruct students on skills and life and whatever it is as teachers, not just I'm a certified teacher in a classroom.
Yes.
Organ teacher is just as important in a kid's life as a math teacher.
But I'm thinking to myself, as you say, organ teacher, which is amazing, by the way. Shout out to her. I'm thinking, who's still learning to play the organ?
Well, it's Eastern Idaho.
There's two people.
Yeah.
A person that plays in the choir and the guy at the baseball game.
Yeah. Yep. And
Oh, that's funny.
yeah, they got $1 million to give though. So I'm telling you, that's good odds too. In Eastern Oregon, there's like 7 people that live there.
That's true.
So
We did a count.
I like you in Idaho, by the way.
We do. We love you.
Should I say Oregon? I'm still saying Oregon
no,
and Oregon.
Oregon.
I don't know what I'm talking about anymore. I'm still outraged at the first one. All right, this tiny school in Cornwall, it needs to hire a second teacher. Cornwall is in UK. By the way, they have decided to do an unorthodox method of hiring that teacher. They have decided on crowdfunding. They're going to
go fund me.
Go teach me.
Go teach. That's funny,
right? So apparently they were told at the end of the academic year there was no funding left, which means they had to scale down to only one class.
Yeah.
This is one teacher juggling the education of all the kids
That's insanity.
in that particular school.
Yeah.
And they said, you know what? We could have ended the story there, but they decided to instead reach out to residents of the tiny town, and they were able to raise 30,000 pounds, which I don't know the conversion rate, but it's $1 billion.
Yeah, pretty much.
To hire a second teacher and keep their school open.
Hey.
So they said, look, we want to keep the school open. We don't want just one teacher. We want to spread it out. They raised enough money, and then they hired this particular teacher. Now, here's the thing. That's the worst idea ever if you're a teacher. Because now... Like before, parents would be like, my taxes pay for you. And now they can be like, I literally paid you. I literally paid for you to be here.
I donated 1,000 pounds to this, Missy.
Yeah.
That's right.
There's apparently 17 students in this particular school.
But that's pretty amazing. They were able to do that and raise money so the teacher... They can have a second teacher, and the teacher keeps the job. That's awesome.
Absolutely. But they said these primary schools really matter, so they want to keep the kids entertained.
Yeah.
And I honestly, it's a pretty cool little small sounding town. Apparently, the school has pupils spending a lot of time outdoors. It says they go swimming in the river, canoeing, mountain biking, and explore the local woods. That's awesome.
That sounds like Florida.
Yeah.
Doesn't it?
Yeah. So apparently the children needed a teacher, and now we're crowdfunding teachers. That would never work in the United States, by the way. Yeah, they
not
would.
At all.
It's so wild that you could raise 40,000 or 50,000 and say, let's hire a new teacher. We just raised the money. And they would go, No. Yeah, thanks for the money, though, by the way. We're absorbing it into the costs of everything. Yeah. All right, Walton County. Walton County. I don't know where that is, but Walton is a county. Oh, it's in Florida. Teachers are going to see a $5,000 starting salary increase. Yay!
Yeah.
By the way, not going to veteran teachers unless you have advanced degrees.
Boo. Once again, they get shafted.
Once again, I keep repeating this story, and we just keep repeating it all over. Stop shafting veteran teachers, and maybe you won't have a teacher shortage. You have a teacher shortage because somebody quit. Not because a new teacher quit, because a veteran teacher quit. I go into these Facebook groups, and I see people going, I'm thinking about quitting. And then I click on their profile, and it's not a 23-year-old.
No.
It's a 46-year-old that still had an additional 15 years left of teaching in them. And guess what? You're short that teacher for the next 15 years because you didn't respect them. All right, next one. This last one. Remember how I just said that I like all teachers?
You do like all teachers.
I like all teachers. There is an etiquette teacher out there that is aiming to preserve manners for the holiday dining and travel.
Pinkies out?
Pinkies out. Yes, this holiday season, the local etiquette teacher wants to remind us that manners are timeless. I did not know this was still a thing, but apparently it is down in Fort Myers, Florida. Apparently, this person has decided to open up their own school, and they have an etiquette school. It's called Mimi's Manners. Mimi's Manners, and apparently teaches children as young as 6 the ins and outs of proper manners. Now, it's interesting hearing her describe this because she says things have definitely changed in the area of civility lately. I think it's interesting because she said airplane examples are there, airplane etiquette. She said, for airplane etiquette, what do you think airplane etiquette should be, by the way? This teacher had an idea of what you should do.
I have a couple of things that I just learned while watching this talk show.
Oh, okay.
It's actually considered rude at certain times during the flight to lay your seat back.
Yeah, okay. She says it should never be that way.
That's what I've heard.
Yeah.
There's also one that I think on a personal level you should never do on an airplane. It's never okay to take your shoes and socks off.
Yeah, okay.
On an airplane.
Yeah.
I think that's a little, your feet out. It's reserved for your home and private time.
I sat down on a Delta flight recently, and I sat down, and the stewardess goes, "Sir," and was pointing to the person across from me. She goes, "Your socks and shoes have to be on at takeoff because there might have to be an emergency evacuation. You have to be ready." And he goes, "Well, can I take them off in air?" She goes, "I suppose." And we were all like, "Please tell him no." But
why would you
who
take
does that?
Yeah, that's so weird.
Yeah,
man.
but she said two things. First off, the seat should never go back. You are in a position to sit.
I heard.
And I agree. I wish airlines that would never have been a feature. I do not like when the seat comes back on me. I will never put the seat back. I just can't do it.
Well, Devin, you don't have that problem because you fly first class.
That's true. Anyways, Delta Diamond. No. So here's the thing. One other thing that she says is very important, and this I've honored, but I've seen people not honor it. Middle seat gets the armrests.
I saw that on the show too.
Yeah.
It's rude for them not to be able to have their
You get the armrest. You're in the middle. You're in the most uncomfortable seat. You get the armrest.
Yes.
And we have the outside armrest, and we can sway this way.
That way, yeah.
So, yeah, I agree.
Now, let me ask you a question, just out of curiosity. On a plane, which seat are you?
I am a window person.
I'm a window person as well.
I like the window.
I do.
like controlling the window.
I like controlling the window because there are certain times I'm going to want it to be down, and there's certain times I'm going to want it to be up.
So by the way, I'm going to divert for 2 seconds. I'll get back to this story because I want to give you a travel hack, okay?
Okay.
When you fly, know which direction you're going if you're a window seat person, and choose the side of the plane where the sun will not be.
That's correct.
Therefore, you can open the window. If I'm flying early in the morning, I don't want to be on the east side of a plane heading north because the sun's coming up over there.
Yes.
I want to be on the west side so I can open it up and have light, but not be disturbing the rest of the plane.
Yeah, absolutely.
Also, another thing, and I'm going to help you out with this. So let's say you're on Delta. I fly Delta, and I get upgraded a lot. I do not pay for the first class a lot of times. Sometimes I will if it's not a big difference.
Yes.
But they'll upgrade me to first class, and sometimes you get a meal. Or if you're going on an international flight, you definitely get a meal. Well, let's say you get a meal, okay?
Yeah.
Sometimes you're sitting there, and they're coming to the back, and they get all the way to the back, and they go, okay, we have one option left. You get the charcuterie board. Do you want it? And originally they started off with 5 options, but they run out of food.
Yes, they do.
Because they don't keep as many.
They do not.
And sometimes they'll start from the back and they'll work their way to the front. And I asked the flight attendant one time, I said, how do you know where you're starting from front or back? She goes, even numbered flights, we start from the front. Odd number of flights, we start from the back. That's our protocol.
Ooh.
So if you're flying on Delta 3312, even number flight, you will start from the front. So try to choose that front seat so you get the first selection and back seat on the odd number flights.
Or you're going to end up with charcuterie.
Charcuterie.
Yes.
Down to it. So anyways, back to this person, started Mimi's Manners. Now, what I'm bringing this up for is because this teacher is aiming to preserve holiday manners
Okay.
in kids, and it's a lost art.
Okay.
You know, we try as teachers to instill empathy and responsibility, and I would say not necessarily manners, but rules.
Yeah.
Decorum, how to operate yourself in public. And I thought it was really interesting. She said that, look, it's getting different as the younger generation comes up and the older generation passes, because manners aren't as valued. She said it is weird that people don't sit down and take a meal anymore.
No.
And discuss things with one another and pass. May you please pass this and pass. Some kids don't even know how to sit down at a meal. They don't know what the decorum is.
Bro, you were absolutely right. When my kids were in high school still, we were blessed enough where I would cook every day, man, and we would actually sit down at the table. It wasn't you take your meal and go somewhere else. No, you sit your butt down.
Oh, we do too.
Yeah, we had to, I love that because
talk to my kids.
We talk to our kids.
Yep.
Which is
and that sometimes is replaced by, you can go sit in your room and watch it on TV and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so I thought it was pretty interesting that they're instilling manners.
Nice.
Now, I thought about it and I said, you know what? Maybe we do need some sort of manner classes for children.
Okay.
In schools.
I wouldn't be opposed to that.
I wrote a few of them.
Oh, okay, nice.
Yeah, so for today's students, in order to be a proper student in the current teaching environment, it is necessary that you have these things that you follow. First off, pinky up as you punch your principal. Pinky up. He is an official. He deserves respect.
That's funny. Did you punch your principal? Oh, yes,
Yeah,
Mom,
but
I did.
up.
But Piggy was up. Oh, okay, good boy, good lad.
In class, you should have a proper place setting. It's essential. Students should have their phone to the left. They should have their Takis to the right.
Yes.
And they should have their textbook directly under the table leg to keep it steady.
There you go.
It's all about the place setting.
Balance, if you will.
Yes.
Balance.
Posture. When walking into class 10 minutes late with your McDonald's, hold the bag up high for all to see. Biggest disturbance you can make without saying a word. It's all about being properly late.
There you go. Properly late.
Properly late.
Yes.
Also, students should work on proper diction when you are telling your parents your current grade.
Yeah. Yeah. Failing.
Practicing. Failing.
Yes.
And then also the last one, work on proper greetings for your teachers. Mr., Miss, ma'am, teacher, Mister. Don't ever get our names for some reason anymore.
Mister. Excuse me?
Mister. Did you call your teachers by their names?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
You know that's a lost art?
Really? They don't.
You know
what do they call you guys?
Mister.
Hey, mister.
Mister.
Hey, you guy.
Miss.
Hey, dude. Teacher, dude.
Yeah. Teacher.
Hey, teacher.
Teach. It's wild, man.
Some people are like, garçon. No, that is not.
my drink, please.
Where'd you get the bell?
That was so wild. Okay, the last thing I want to talk about is actually a teacher in the news, but I'm not using it as a teacher in the news. I'm using it as the very last thing that we discussed on this particular episode. It inspired me to think about something.
I like that.
So, I think we're teaching wrong.
What do you mean?
I think that this article I read about this teacher, it was great. And it was so great that I thought about it, and I thought, man, you know what? He's right. He is apparently a teacher, Guillermo Tejada. I'll say Tejada, Tej. I'm going to go with that. Anyways, apparently he is loves jazz, and started teaching in California. And there was a rich California history in South Central Los Angeles of jazz. And he said, look, I want to get my students involved in this local culture, and started teaching about local history, local race, local culture, and through music, through the jazz upbringing of this Los Angeles community.
Yeah.
And the students apparently really latched onto it. There was a lot of quotes from the students and from people that were watching him, and they said he's a passionate guy, he's incredibly talented, and basically he knows that he's an artist and he loves jazz. He loves playing these instruments and wanted to bring that in the classroom, but also make it relevant to the kids in their history of their city. What I've always found baffling, As a history teacher, I taught social studies.
Okay.
We never teach our local history.
You're right.
What do you know about where you live? And to me, that should be the jumping point for history.
Yeah.
And go, locally, this happened. Locally, here's where we saw this. And I say that speaking from experience because I lived in St. Augustine. And St. Augustine is rich history.
Yes, very much.
I took a class as a history major in St. Augustine called The History of St. Augustine. To me, it was the best class I'd ever taken because it got me so into history. Why did it get me into history? Because our teacher would go, by the way, there was a battle that was fought. Let's go there. And we would leave. And we would go right to where the battle site was.
That's different.
And he would go, so right over here, the boats came in. And right over here is where this happened. Okay, so let's go over to the archaeology center where they dug up this cannonballs. Let's talk about this. Let's talk about that. Every day was a flippin' field trip.
Yes.
And every day it was so relevant. And let me tell you right now, I learned something about St. Augustine history. There's a documentary out there called Dare Not Walk Alone. Have you seen it, James?
I have not seen that.
Take a second to watch it.
Okay.
Dare Not Walk Alone blew my mind about the civil rights movement. In St. Augustine, Florida, there was a civil rights movement that predated the Montgomery bus boycott. There were early sit-ins at the Woolworths, which was in the center town square.
Yes.
There was a bombing at the local church that killed a young black girl. There was protests and dogs and police trying and struggling to cross the street together. Martin Luther King Jr. stayed in a house for several months in downtown St. Augustine in the Lincolnville district.
I didn't know that.
And there's a plaque outside that says Martin Luther King stayed here and was making calls to Lyndon Johnson, trying to get changes for civil rights. In the downtown St. Augustine, there's an old, there's a Hilton Garden Inn, but before it was the Monson Motor Lodge.
Okay.
And that's actually where blacks tried to swim in the pool that was labeled whites only. And the owner of the Motor Lodge came out with the hydrochloric acid. Do you remember this story?
Yes, I do.
Tried to pour it in, and while kids were in the pool, and it made national news.
Yes.
There's, by the way, if you go to the Hilton Garden Inn in St. Augustine, there's steps there where Martin Luther King Jr. prayed for the owner of the Motor Lodge and tried to make change, and they have a little plaque on them. It says Martin Luther King Jr. prayed on these steps.
For that man.
For that man. And that's the stuff that I sat there listening to this guy, and we watched that video. We went to the places, and I was like,
That's
that
amazing.
all happened here?
Yeah.
I'd never heard this.
Why have I not heard that?
Yeah, and so many times we have local museums that we never go to.
We do.
We have local things that we never partake in. And to me, sometimes having kids open a book and look at pictures and read stories,
Not the same.
I just don't think it's the same, man.
And can
I think we need to help spur learning the same way. When I was reading this about this gentleman, I said, man, if all schools embraced their local traditions, their local history, and talked about things that maybe the students would get more engaged in broader,
Believe it.
Things. But
Believe it.
yeah.
I was just going to say this, man. You're absolutely right, because I remember for us, we went to D.C. together.
Yeah.
And we went to the Smithsonian, and it's free. And it is the most amazing place that you can go to.
Yeah, you and I went to D.C. together. We did not go on the RV, by the way.
On the show, Big Time RV.
So if you people don't know this, we haven't talked about it, but go ahead, continue with
but
your
I was
story.
just going to say, we walked around for hours, and we were just like, this is amazing.
Yeah.
We saw actual drones. We saw aircraft that were actually in space. We saw some of the most amazing things from history. And the fact that people in D.C. were kind of like, yeah, whatever, big deal. Like, you know what I mean? But we were like, this is, oh my God.
And by the way, James and I sat in a flight simulator and did a barrel roll.
That's a mistake.
It was a terrible idea. It was the slowest barrel roll, too. We were just upside down for 6 minutes. I'm like, what are we doing?
Gosh.
But true story, though, we were on Big Time RV.
That big show on the Travel Channel.
Yeah, so on the Travel Channel, there's it's called Twosome Trouble or something like that. And you'll see some familiar faces. We are not a couple.
Everybody thinks that.
Yeah.
They are the cutest couple.
And we did not have a budget of $500,000 for an RV.
As a teacher.
By the way, going to DC. But it's so funny because teachers occasionally tag me in that. They go, I was just watching Big Time RV. Is that you and James? And I go, yep.
The one that says Devin and James? Nope. Not us.
Yeah. But it was fun.
That was really
filming
cool, man. That was good.
So yeah, if you have Discovery Plus, I think you can watch it.
You can.
And it's on Big Time RV, the last season, and you'll see my face, his face, and it's fun to watch. By the way, we joke on it and like the whole time. Yeah. And it was a fun day of recording, and we got paid. Did you get paid, James?
No.
You don't remember what you got?
Oh yeah, we got free. We
got gift certificates to the RV center.
RV money, like RV bucks.
Yep.
And we don't have
RV.
We don't have an RV. Yeah.
Like I can go in and buy a towing hitch for an RV.
I got some diesel fuel. I don't.
Just literally putting it in your pocket. You know, if it's free,
it's fine. Keep it coming. It's fine.
No, but yeah. So I hope that more teachers take that as a moment to go, you know what? Maybe I should take a break and teach local history, local things that matter.
And get out of the classroom.
And it doesn't even have to be just history. Math teachers and stuff. We've never done this, but take a field trip to the local grocery store if you're a math teacher, and go over the ounces and things. People get bamboozled all the time.
That is true.
They think that family size is it's family size. It's got to be cheaper. No, you got to look at the per ounce.
Break down the ounces.
Breakdowns on the prices and the percentages off and things like shopping. And I just think local stuff relevant to them, how it's active to them outside the school walls, I think is something that is really important.
I think so too, man. I agree with that.
All right, James, how can people find you, my friend?
As always, you guys, thank you so much for supporting me and following all the new teachers out there. I appreciate you. Keep the comments coming. You can follow me at James Yon Comedian. That's YON, and that's on Facebook and Instagram.
Yep, devincomedy.com for upcoming tour dates, as well as on my social media, just at Devin Siebold. Be sure to hit that like button, subscribe, follow, comment down below. All the engagement helps. Even if you don't want to hit share, maybe just even comment. I've seen comments of thumbs up or, hey, great job. I mean, that kind of stuff, engagement helps get a word out about our podcast, and we can keep going for many more years to come. We love bringing all these topics and subjects to you and hopefully making you laugh. So thanks so much. Check us out on Big Time RV. And thanks again for listening in. We'll be back next week with a brand new episode of Crying in My Car, podcast for teachers. There might be a clip up there. There might be a clip down there. If it's got our face, if it's other people's stuff, come back. Don't click on that. But us suggested things. That's us crying in my car. Devin Siebold, James Yon, board teachers. Watch. New trailer for Indiana Jones. No, don't do that. Don't do that.